So for your next weather CER, this is what you're going to be solving. It says right here, this is your scenario. Meteorologists, so scientists who study weather, use computer-generated models that are called spaghetti models to determine the path of a hurricane. The above model has 14 possible paths. So this black symbol right here represents the hurricane, and then you see all these different squiggly lines right there with all different colors. There are a total of 14 different paths. Each one is a possible path that the hurricane could move on. So our question is right here. Can somebody living in Panama City, Florida be 100% sure about whether or not they will need to evacuate their home due to an incoming hurricane? So let's look. Where is Panama City, Florida? See right there where it says Panama City, Florida? That black line is not one of the spaghetti models. Notice how all the other spaghetti models are not straight. This one is pointing straight down there. So that is the location of Panama City, Florida. So will the people that are living there, should they consider evacuating or not? That's what you're going to have to answer right here. You don't need to know that much about hurricanes to actually answer this. You don't need to talk about whether or not a hurricane is bad enough to evacuate or not. Assume that it is. Just assume that if it's in the path of it, they do need to. Well, how can we show this, right? So you need to talk about probability forecasting, which you've already learned about how we can't know 100% what's going to happen. We have to predict it using probability. So probability you think about all the time. So what's the probability of you flipping a coin and getting a heads, right? It's 1 out of 2, so it's 50%. If you roll a die, what's the probability of you hitting a 4? Well, there's one side of a 6-sided die that is a 4. So there it is, 1 out of 6. So now you should be able to figure out, well, what is the probability of it landing in Panama City, Florida, the path of this hurricane? I'm going to need you to write a bare minimum of 7 sentences. You're going to answer the claim in a complete sentence that completely answers it. You're going to use evidence. I would recommend that you talk about probability forecasting as one piece of evidence and spaghetti models as another piece of evidence. One thing that you could do if you're still not sure about what spaghetti models are is just Google what are spaghetti models, and there's information right here. It's also sometimes called the spaghetti plot.